There we are. How's it going, folks? Hope you're doing well. Happy Friday. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. As always, let me know #live if you're watching this live. #replay if you're watching this on the replay. I wanted to take things back today. I think it's a really important topic, and I don't feel like people are getting the honest truth when they enter this industry. Some people find out the hard way, some people never find out. And so today I want to talk about just remote sales as an industry. Whenever you hear about high ticket sales or remote closing, it's usually something like this. They start with some big recognizable names for trust, right? Like Tony Robbins always comes up. Russell Brunson, Todd Brown, Grant Cardone, all these big names, how these people switched to high ticket sales, how these people need to sell their programs one-on-one because of the price tag, how they want to get off the phone because they have hundreds of other things to do. Like Tony Robbins is on the phone right now and he's like, I can't wait for a high ticket closer so I don't have to take my own calls. Right? How they're dying for people. They always use the word dying. They always kind of overemphasize everything. That's what good marketing is, right? So how they're dying for people to take these calls. If someone could just knock on their door and save them from this horrible mess, right? And they're so excited to pay money for this. And then they usually go into some oversimplified explanation of the differences between setting and closing. And then you've probably seen this already, but they all do the exact same math. It's everywhere, right? It's always 5 calls a day, 5 days a week. That's 25 calls a week. Can't argue with that, right? Then they throw out some nice round number like $1,000 per sale and a nice round close rate, right? 25%. So 5 equals 25, $1,000 per sale, and 25% of the time you're going to close. Well, it's hard to argue with that math. That is $25,000 a month. If you do those numbers, that's it. Right? So again, it's hard to argue with the logic of math. And so even if the commission, this is usually how they separate, even if the commission is only $500 per sale, that's still $12,000 a month. It's great money for most people. That's game changing. That's something to get excited about, right? And then when they run the numbers for a setter, it usually comes out to somewhere around $8K a month, right? So then they show you some social proof. Here's Jimmy. Jimmy's a closer and he made $15K this month. Debbie, stay-at-home mom, made $8K in her first week. From an outside perspective, how could this not be attractive? They did everything a marketer is supposed to do. They talk about generic problems like, do you wish you could make more money? Do you not like your job? Do you wish you didn't have to deal with traffic and commuting to your job? Yeah, obviously. That's pretty general, right? Then they introduce a secret. It's always a secret. Then they tell you you only need one special skill to unlock that secret universe. They throw some big names at you. If these names do it, must be legit, right? Then they oversimplify the process, run some basic numbers, voila. You have the funnel of about 80% of the online marketers in the remote sales space. This is the content, this is the marketing. Right? Here's a couple things they don't tell you though. They don't tell you that their student success rate is about 5 to 10%. That somehow gets left off the marketing. Meaning if 100 people join today, 90% of them, 90 people with families, with bills, never achieved the results they were hoping for while they were in the program. 90%. Think about that. Right? And remember those names like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and Frank Kern? right? They put those big names out there. They tell you they're going to help you get a job, but definitely not with any of them. They are likely to introduce you to a brand new coach who recently paid the trainer to help them scale the business. Now, I'm generalizing here, but it happens so much that it has to be talked about. You're not getting an introduction to Tony Robbins' hiring manager or Grant Cardone or Frank Kern. Right? You're getting the other person that's seen the other ad that paid the same person to connect you to. And the success rate for them is about the same, a little bit better than on the closer side. It's roughly about 20%. 20% of those businesses actually scale with the information from those programs. Right? So they pair a new salesperson with a new business, which is a recipe for disaster for all kinds of reasons that I won't get into today. Right? But it doesn't matter because the trainer already got paid. They don't get paid based on success. They're in a performance-based industry. That's what they're selling you, but they do not get paid on performance. They get paid a nice chunk up front, about 5 to 10K for the sales training, about 10 to 20K for the business training or more, and then about 3 to 10K for that introduction. Hey, you meet you, boom, here's 3, here's 5, here's 10K. So whether it works out or not, the trainer just made about $30,000 from that transaction. So at least you'd think I'm getting up-to-date training, right? No, absolutely not. You would think for 6 to 8K price tag, the trainer would be updating the training to keep up with an ever-changing market. But that's not the case. I've been paying attention to these things. There's training that I've seen that was created 5 years ago or more, and then they ripped it off from a trainer who created their training 10 years ago. Hasn't changed, hasn't been updated. The industry, because it was new when I came in 7 years ago, it's changed a lot, just like any new industry. It's evolved. We are in a totally different industry now than when they started. But nothing has changed about the training. Nothing has changed about the advice. Nothing has been updated. So the same training that might have worked on day one 10 years ago is becoming less and less effective every single day, because more and more people are implementing the same things. Right? Now, I know this can sound defeating. I know that sometimes I bring the rain cloud, but this is just one entry point or one path into our industry. Now, the online marketers did get something right. I do believe, with all the things created equal, this is an amazing industry for the right person. The right person who's willing to develop the right skills and implement the right strategy and consider the right timelines, right? And has the right integrity, but it's the right person. It's not for everybody, right? But at the same time, too many capable people that could be successful, are failing because they were never given the proper information. They built their success on this industry on a broken foundation, so it crumbles. So I want to do my best here to give you a more transparent view of what's happening in this industry. How did this opportunity come about? Because I believe that the more you understand, the better decisions you can make. How can we make the most of this? So new industries and opportunities are created in disruption. You often hear that word disruption. It's an important word, right? As you're probably aware, over the years, the way we make purchases has changed. There's no doubt about that. E-commerce has exploded. More and more people are buying stuff online who have never bought before. My parents buy stuff online now. I never thought that day would come, right? It's just commonplace. It's widely accepted. There's always early adopters, right? Then there's the mass, right? We are in the mass now. Most people buy stuff online. Now, anytime there's any disruption in any market, it breeds opportunity. And I want you to think about that and keep that in your mind, because any disruption, most people panic in disruption, right? The people who are successful understand that disruption equals opportunity. If you think about what Uber did to transportation, if you think about what Airbnb did to hospitality. So what's the opportunity here? Well, even though people are more comfortable online, people who never bought online are now buying online, Studies show that the comfort level of buyers has limitations. There's a lot of different studies on this, and I imagine there's going to be more. But the study that I've seen, somewhere around the $800 price point, buyers dropped off. People get nervous, and they don't want to push the buy now button as easily. The higher the price, the more likely people are to be able to get trigger shy. The less likely they are to just buy. People delay their purchase, and then some of them never make the purchase and never come back. Life happens. So again, someone buying a $50 pair of jeans online, it's not a problem. Most people are willing now to press that buy now button. $5,000 on a personal development program, that causes a problem. That causes a hesitation. So the word high ticket gets thrown around a lot in this space. So I wanted to break that down. High ticket refers to the price, obviously. It's a high priced, or a better way to think of it, a high perceived value item. And then closing is another word that you hear often. I believe it was Dan Lok that was one of the originators of that, and he's since moved on to the next hot keyword research, whatever. Closing stems from an old real estate term, which refers to the process of making a sale. So very simply, high ticket closing is the purchase of a high price or high perceived value item. Right? And now there's a lot of debate. A lot of people ask me, what classifies high ticket? Some people say anything over 1,000. Some people say 3,000. Some people say 5,000. Honestly, I don't think this is important, and I don't know if it's ever been defined. I think understanding the process, the roles and the responsibilities and the opportunity is much more important to focus on than trying the semantics of is it 1,000 or 2,000? I don't think that's important. So thinking about the role, right? What is a remote high ticket salesperson? Really, a high ticket salesperson is the person or people who are responsible for facilitating a purchasing decision for a higher priced item. I use that word really, really precisely, and I think it's really important, and I use it a lot in UCM, facilitating the decision. That's really our job. It's not to sell, because some people are not supposed to buy. So if we think all our job is to sell, it sets us in the wrong path. Our job is to facilitate the best decision possible. And so it has less to do with being a salesperson and more to do with helping someone make decisions. In the most basic terms, if you can listen to someone and you can speak, you can do this job. But it's not as simple as that. It doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be good at this job. It doesn't mean you're going to love this job. So it's understanding what actually happens after deciding that this is the industry for me. Now, the next question I always get is, what am I going to be selling? Is it boats or expensive vacations? And there's no easy way to answer this. There's no one size fits all. Technically, a high ticket closer could sell boats or vacations. But I want to hone in on two specific opportunities. This is where we are seeing most of the jobs coming from. And that's agencies and coaches. Now, they might have different titles for themselves, but I'm going to explain this a little bit further. Remember how I told you disruption creates opportunity? Well, there's two very specific disruptions that have created major opportunity in this industry. One, the way people are choosing to learn, the education system. And two, the rise of digital marketing, accessibility to new markets and new information. More and more people are losing faith in the formal education system. There's a change there. Sure, if you want to be a lawyer or an accountant or a doctor or an engineer, maybe college or university is the best spot for you. But what if you want to learn how to build a successful Amazon business? What if you want to become a bodybuilder? What if you want to transition out of your current career and work remote? Or what if you want to work through some childhood trauma and become a better version of yourself? College doesn't make sense at that point. College is not the answer for those cases. And this has created a real opportunity. People are choosing to learn very specifically these days. And it's created $1 billion a day coaching industry, $1 billion a day industry, right? The basic concept is, hey, I got good at this specific thing. I produced this result. I have the knowledge and skills and experience. I will teach you how to model my actions and produce a similar result for yourself. That's the basic premise. Right? Now, this can come in the form of a course, like a pre-recorded course. It can be a coaching program, right? More hands-on, or a mentorship, right? Which is more broad. So people are opting out of taking on massive debt to learn a generalized skill in college over 4 years. For me, I dropped out of college in 3 weeks because I was like, why am I taking English literature when I want to learn entrepreneurship? Didn't make sense to me, right? And why am I learning business from professors that don't have businesses? So it's not that I'm saying college is a bad choice. For some people, it's great. That's up to you. But for a lot of people, they're opting out of that process. And instead, they're deciding very specifically what they want to learn, and they're paying that person to get them very specific results in a very specific area of expertise, usually at a fraction of the time. Usually it's not a 4-year coaching program, right? So the coaching market has exploded. There's no doubt about that. That creates opportunity, but it also creates problems. The issue now is there's no regulatory body. And I don't necessarily believe in regulation, but the FTC has started shutting down a few shady big league marketers, but they just pop up again, right? It's a bit of a wild west. Anyone can start a coaching program. Some coaches are amazing at what they do. There are some amazing coaches with high integrity in this industry. Other people have chose coaching or courses as just a way to make money. They don't have any passion for that specifically. They just see the opportunity to make money. It's a money-making scheme, right? Most people entering this industry are never taught how to identify the difference. So they get trapped. One of the biggest roadblocks that I see people face when they're entering this industry is deciding what to sell and who to sell for. And there's just not enough information or training on that specific topic for how many people struggle. That should be the starting point for most trainers. But they don't want you to have that information, because then you would be able to see poor quality opportunities and you would probably decline a lot of the businesses in their pipeline. And they've already promised you out. They need you to take those opportunities. They need you to find out much later in your career what a good opportunity looks like and what doesn't. It's a rite of passage. They say, oh, you got to start somewhere. And so they just place you with poor opportunities, poor quality opportunities. Now, I mentioned 2 disruptions. The other disruption that's created a massive opportunity is in the agency world. Instead of teaching people how to get a specific result or coaching them through it, an agency offers to get those results for you. We call this DFY, or done for you. So the most common agencies focus their efforts on marketing or sales, right? How to grow something. Instead of teaching someone how to grow their business, they take care of those services for them. So this could be email marketing or advertising or content creation or some combination. It could be staffing. The list goes on. But the easiest way to remember the key differences, a coach, a course, or a mentorship, is either do it yourself, DIY, or done with you, DWI, where an agency is done for you, DFY. So there's also some other niches where people are making great money. I'm not saying this is where all the opportunity is, right? And they're working remote, that don't fall into these 2 categories. For examples of that could be SaaS, like software as a service, or solar. Those are 2 big industries outside of what I'm talking about today. But the majority of opportunities that I'm seeing, right, are in the agency and coaching world. So now that we know what and who's hiring, what does this mean for us? Well, again, disruption equals opportunity. Companies are hiring people to have these conversations with potential buyers. There's no doubt about that. That is the truth, right? We have the conversations. If the potential buyer makes the purchase, we get paid a percentage. There is truth in that, right? Now, there's a few different roles that you should understand in the sales process. And this is where some of the misguided information starts to pop up. We'll break it into 2 categories. There's setters and closers, and there's a bunch of different names. Again, companies can call them whatever they want to call them, but really it's setters and closers, right? For simplicity's sake. So Setters have the earlier conversations in the sales process, and they almost act as like a filter or a bouncer to see who makes sense to have a further conversation with. So the prerequisite for that decision, again, each process is going to be different, but it usually comes down to understanding if the prospect has a need for the offer, has a desire to solve a problem or create an opportunity, and has access to the funds necessary to make a purchase. That's usually the basis at which someone is qualified or disqualified. And that is really the core of what setters do. Right? So there are many different setter roles. There's inbound, which means someone is scheduling with you and you're operating what we call like a discovery call or a triage call. That is basically where you draw out the information, see if this person might be a good fit, right? And then send them through or give them something to work on to be able to get ready to have that next conversation. Then outbound, obviously, you're making the dials, right? So a lot of cases, this is, let's say a coach has a low ticket $29 program. You might be calling people who have bought that program and then trying to upsell them or get them on another call, right? And then you have DM setters. So this is basically, instead of having the conversation through a phone or through Zoom, you're having it through social media. And obviously there's a hybrid, a blend of two or more of these things. Right? On the closing side, this is obviously the person responsible for helping the prospect make a decision. Now, typically there's two main closer roles, inbound and full stack. Full stack simply means you are responsible for the whole process. You are generating leads, you are qualifying, and you are selling. There's a lot of aspects to this role. If you're going to take a full stack position, make sure there's a lot of support and training, that there's proven processes, right? And that the commission is higher because you're doing more. You're basically doing 2 to 3 roles. Right? Now, going back to the trainers, they usually round numbers like $1,000 commission, but understanding that it's simply whatever commission percentage that you're offered multiplied by whatever the price tag is. It's not like everybody who sells here is making $500 per sale or $1,000 per sale, right? It's based on the individual opportunities, right? They want to tell you that setting is some entry level position, which makes it seem like closing is automatically a promotion. This is misinformed as well. I know closers who are making $2K a month, and I know setters that are making $10K a month. It's not as simple as change the title and make more money. Of course, top closers will typically make more money than a top setter, especially in the same organization. But it depends on the opportunity in the company. The right opportunity is much more important than the title of the position, 100% of the time. Right? It's also a myth, and I hear this a lot, right, that the higher the price, the more money you can make. That's way too oversimplified to consider that just a rule of thumb, right? What about lead flow? The number of calls booked, that plays a huge factor, right? Commission structure, there's so much at play there. Close percentage, right? It's important to understand the full breadth of the numbers. Very simply, yes, if you sell a 2K package for 10%, right, the commission is 200. If you sell a 7K package for 10%, the commission is 700. That's simple. But what is the lead flow or the close percentage or the no-show rate? You need to learn what questions to ask on an interview to be able to predict the earning potential accurately. Now, I struggled personally for about 4 months in this industry, working with the wrong offers, doing the numbers without having the right information and thinking I was going to make a ton of money. And I struggled to make money. I was making about $1,000 a month. And then I started developing my own strategies for finding top opportunities. I landed a great gig and I was closing for a company who was doing $500K a week in revenue. That's a lot of revenue. Right? I was having conversations about a $5,800 program for Amazon FBA coaching. The program taught people how to start their own Amazon FBA business. And so basically, right, if you just looked at the numbers the way the trainers ran it, right, 1 in 3 people that I talked to would decide to buy. That's great. And I was at the time making 15% per sale, which based on the math of these trainers would mean on average, I was making $870 every 3 hours. But that's not the full truth. It would be nice if I could sit here and tell you that. That might make you trust me more, right? That might be exciting to you if you're thinking about this opportunity or working with me, but I'm not going to do that. That's not the truth. What they don't tell you, and what you find out later, is there's things like no-shows. They never talk about no-shows in the math, but it's an important factor. So when I was working in that company, I would book 6 to 8 calls per day, but only 4 to 6 would show up on a good day. Sometimes it was more, right? Just because someone books a call doesn't mean they're going to show up. Some people reschedule, sure, that's great, but some never respond or rebook. Right? They just went through the process and they forget about it and they give up. Right? Some coaches and agencies struggle horribly with no-show rates. Depending on the industry, usually the goal is less than 20%. But I've seen companies in this industry with 80% no-show rates. That is a calendar killer. It's very, very hard to make money if 80% of the people don't show up. So it's important to ask these questions on an interview. What is your show-up rate? Or what is your no-show rate? So technically, yes, I closed 1 and 3 calls that showed up. And on one offer, yes, I could make 25 to 30K per month. And when I added a second offer, I was doing over 40K consistently. My best month was 53K. But this is not the standard. This is not just a rite of passage. Everybody comes in, runs those numbers, and boom, all of a sudden, I work my ass off. I was developing, I was taking my calls, and I was training in the morning, and I was training in the evening. Right? I worked very hard for that. I modeled the best performers in the company. I did a lot of the things right to be able to get those numbers. Just coming into the industry and going through some basic training, it's not 40K guaranteed. Right? It's not even 10K. There's no guarantees. Right? There are a lot of vultures in this industry. There's a lot of bullshit offers. This is not a straight line to success. But all that being said, there still is a ton of opportunity in this industry. I love this industry. It changed my life, and I see it change other people's lives. But again, you can't turn a blind eye to these things. Right? Now, the other myth that holds a lot of people back is the idea of what a salesperson needs to be. Right? This old adage of like Wolf of Wall Street or used car salesman. You don't need to be Wolf of Wall Street type to be successful anymore. People are getting tired of the manipulative bro sales. You don't need it. In fact, you do better without it. There's less resistance. For the first time, we are seeing way more diversity in sales. I speak to coaches all the time, and the number one thing they tell me is they want someone that resembles them and their prospects. In the industry, we call this culture fit, and it's becoming more and more important. Right? They want someone reflective of what they're teaching and what they value. This creates more opportunities for more people that were usually overlooked in sales. We are seeing more people from all over the world joining sales. We're seeing more women than ever entering this industry and dominating. Like 7 of the top 10 best salespeople I've ever met were women. Right? We've seen more introverts than ever. Right? We're seeing so much diversity here, and it's a positive thing. There's no one size fits all. Honestly, the overarching prerequisite is, are you willing to develop new skills? And are you committed to improving every day? No matter where you're from, you can't avoid that. Right? This is a performance-based industry. So you need to understand how to get in a place that you can perform, and then you need to learn how to perform. So in UCM, we break it down very simply into 3 areas that I believe are most important for your focus. Right? We have develop, both personally and professionally, land, being able to identify great opportunities and get those clients, and then perform, the skills and strategies to become better at your job. That's the full circle. There is no magic. It's an industry, and it's competitive. Most people never develop, so they cap their income at that entry level 2 to 4K, plain and simple. But if you have the growth mindset, and you're willing to put in the time and effort, right, and get around the right people, 10 to 20K is highly attainable in this industry. I will say that. Does that mean everybody's going to get there? No. Most people will not get there because it's not easy, and most people are looking for easy money. But is it attainable? Absolutely. Now, you'll probably take the wrong job and you'll probably stay in that job too long. There's ways around that. But if you keep developing and you keep learning from your mistakes and limiting those mistakes, right, the right person in the right offer can make great money. So, in summary, a remote high ticket salesperson is anyone who helps facilitate higher priced buying decisions. And the majority of opportunities that I'm seeing are coming from the explosion in the coaching and agency industries. There are other industries really just thinking about remote sales at a high price. Anything that falls into that category is great, right? We get paid when people make that decision, and the commissions can be lucrative. Right? The way people are buying is drastically changing, and the beautiful thing is, is the way that we're selling. The way we sell is different. The days of aggressive Wolf of Wall Street, it's over. Right? The industry is wide open to high integrity individuals who have a desire to make money helping people. Your commission is a direct connection to how many people that you helped in that time frame. Right? This is when you strip away all the marketing and all the vultures, it's a people helping people business. Right? You help the business owner scale their business and you help the prospect find a solution. The more people you help, the more money you make. You want to focus your energy in 3 areas. How can I develop personally and professionally? How can I develop in the area of landing great opportunities, like networking with top business owners and acing interviews? And how can I learn to perform better, committing to improving your skills over time and modeling the top salespeople in this industry? So I hope this was helpful for you. Honestly, I know sometimes I can be a rain cloud, but I love this industry. I think there's so much opportunity here. But it doesn't mean that I love everything about it. I believe that people deserve to hear the truth when entering this industry because it's a big decision. And you shouldn't just come in because you heard some ad that you could make a lot of money. Be more critical. I believe that people need to be more critical when making these decisions about spending thousands of dollars because most people don't have a second chance. Most people don't have a second $5,000 sitting away. So be critical about where you spend that money. Take time to realize, is this person actually looking out for my best intentions? Right? If someone tells you that all you need in this industry is sales skill, either they are lying to you or they haven't experienced what the 90% of us who realized early on that there's more to success in this industry than just knowing how to sell. So I believe this is an amazing opportunity, but you have to be critical about who you listen to and who you trust. I appreciate y'all. Have a great day.